but Fox and Beetle both had some IRL things that they had to take care of. And so they will not be joining us today, which means that we get to add whatever we want to Beetle's list, and he's not here to object. So now's the time. But other than that, we are going to go ahead and roll into some updates to start things off. And the first update that I wanted to give, I'm very excited about, which is that next week for our AMA, you will find us back on the DFK Twitter account because as of an hour ago, we have it back. We are back in. We have scrubbed it. We've cleaned it up, made sure that everything was gone. We have resecured it. So we are back in the DFK Twitter account, which is super exciting. Like I said, I'm ecstatic about it. I we It was about an hour ago. We didn't want to pull a last minute switch on everybody before we had a chance to notify everybody that it is legitimate. It is us. We do have it back. So we kept this week's here. But after that, we will be moving back over. We'll do a Discord announcement and all that fun stuff as well to let everybody know that we have it back. But we wanted to give you the good news live. Aside from that, on that note, I do want to give a shout out to You Making Me Crazy, crazy with no A, which is their Twitter handle. .eth is their display name. But they were actually contacted by the scammer to contact us to try to extort us is the short answer. But anyway, they had some contacts at Twitter, and they were the ones that a couple of days ago were able to get our Twitter account locked, which took access away from the scammer and also meant that when people went to our Twitter page, they didn't see any posts. So that was a great first step in being able to get our account back and secure it and make sure that people weren't seeing those scam posts anymore. So I just want to give a shout out to You Making Me Crazy for volunteering his help. That was absolutely awesome, and we are very grateful. Thank you much. But yeah, super happy to have it back, and yeah, all right, cool. Moving on to our next update. I believe Hubert wanted to talk about the next Void Hunt.
I did, and I'll be very careful to not say the name of it, which I think is a huge risk for me at this point. Yeah, so we did get the next Void Hunt into the testing environment this week, and we've already begun balance testing. So we're kind of on the final stretch here with that. With it, there are a few additions that we're still implementing related to Bring Your Own Potion and other things that we have on the progress sheet that we're trying to keep up to date. Just a reminder that that does exist. I think there's a link to it in our announcements, and we may not update it like in perfect real time, but we are going back to make sure we do keep it updated at least during the week. So yeah, so along with that, did also want to mention something that I don't think we have mentioned before, as we were kind of still thinking about it, but we have decided that with this new hunt, it will have a higher starting level. Currently, the boar hunt has a starting level at 10 with the level scaling. This one is going to start at level 12. So if you can definitely try with level 10 heroes to go through this. It's definitely going to be harder if you do. But we're just to kind of keep it a little bit different from the other one. We're going to start at that point. So yeah, and let's see, is there anything else with that to say? I can say I'm just super excited to be in this stage, and that it's fun to be in the testing environment, listening to the new soundtrack for it, which I very much enjoy. Yeah, we're working hard to get it into a good spot. It's still going to be a little bit of time though, I expect. So yeah, if there's anything I forgot, Bolin, please let me know. I think that covers everything.
I believe it does. Yeah, super exciting. It's always fun to watch y'all as you work on that balance. Then actually back to you though for LP pools.
Oh yes. Let's see. With the LP pools, we did get those also turned on, so that it's now we have 10% of all crystal fees within the game that use the standard distribution are now going to LP holders that are staked in the new LP staking contract that we launched, I think, this week. And also the Gardening Quest is also using that new contract as its way of tracking how many rewards you should get from the quest fund as well. So if you haven't moved over yet, there's not really many reasons not to at this point. There's no rewards coming out of the old gardening Master Gardener contract, since emissions have ended, and also the Gardening Quest no longer looks at that as well. So if you're still questioning whether or not you should do it, I think the only other thing that is maybe an issue for you is when you withdraw from the Master Gardener, if you have any pending rewards from your just having it been in there for a long time, something like that, like it will claim all of the rewards that you have pending at that point. So just be aware of that if you're going to do it. But other than that, I think everyone's good to go with switching over to that.
Awesome. Yeah, one thing I did want to mention as well, because it was brought up in Discord and it was a good point. When you restake in the new contract, it will restart your withdrawal fee. However, the withdrawal fees on the new pools are not the same as the structure that we had on the old pools. So it's in Discord in the announcements as well, but it's 25% within the same block still for flash loans. It's 8% in under 1 hour, 4% in under 24 hours, and then after 24 hours, there is no withdrawal fee. It goes all the way down to 0%. So I just wanted to highlight that for anybody who's missed it, that the withdrawal fees are a little bit different. Good deal. And then last but not least for updates, wanted to go over to Dreamer to talk about the Karate Combat Gi.
Can you hear me, Bolan?
Yes,
Nice.
sir.
Yeah, so we have been running our first third-party sponsored visage for about 30 days now. These are meant to go for 30 days or a month, kind of depending. But I think this was set up for 30 days. And this one has a really cool giveaway that Karate Combat's doing, that we're pretty much going to be gathering information and handing to them. I think it was announced 3 million karate at launch, and some folks made decisions to have the gi for the cosmetic feature and the value that it brings to make it fun to look like a karate professional while doing hunts and other things. And that's really fun. But if you're also interested in taking advantage of that, I just kind of call out, we got one more day. Price of karate, I think, has appreciated over 2x since we first launched it. So if any did their personal mental math, and this giveaway is not really a kind of lottery style, it's more every purchased karate gi is kind of one portion of the split of that 3 million pool. I would check your math again, because as of right now, I think when we last checked, I don't know exactly how many have been sold, but it's been less than the total amount of the reward split by the total amount bought. So essentially, people are getting paid right now in karate to buy that gi. So wanted to do that call out for any that want to check it. These are fully cosmetic items. They are tradable, but that is it. They're meant to be fun. This is a one-time thing, and this is something done by Karate Combat. Hopefully other third-party sponsored visages in the future, we have similar kind of benefits, giveaways, or events happening. That's the point of them. They are here to help us co-market and to build our partnership. So please go out there and support us, have some fun of the visages. And when this one's up, there will be another one with a completely different type of incentive giveaway or other that we're working on. So excited for these. And on the horizon, now that we have our account back, which is exciting, that has been so frustrating on our side, since it's like the lifeblood of our marketing that we can do. With that back, we're going to get back on track on a couple things. One of them we've mentioned as creator visages. These are collaborations that we do with big creators and influencers out there that will potentially help us get access to other groups or players in the space. Well, we're not going to be doing these overly frequently either. Don't expect them any more frequent than like a month or so. But in the next couple of weeks, we could have our first one come out, and we have it already lined up. It's I think it's going to be beautiful and exciting, and we have a really cool creator to work with. So, for those that have been enjoying the visages and the cosmetics, thank you for the support. I'm glad that you've been enjoying them. For those that are looking for the broader strategy, this is part of that broader strategy: co-marketing, expanding our partnerships. So. First, it's with the Karate Gi and what comes next, and then look out for other interesting opportunities that hopefully people see are good for all of us in exposure and marketing and fun.
Awesome. I'll just add real quick. I mentioned last week, but I'm going to say it again. If you're looking at a Visage release as comparable to like a game patch, please don't, because it's not. So there will be an ongoing rotation of Visages coming in and out of the store, and it's just not they're not updates in the sense of like the LP update or something like that, from a term of like workload, time spent, anything like that. So just want to make sure that we have the right expectations around that as well. Awesome. Oh, Christian, go ahead. Yes, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely wanted to chime in there as well. Dreamer has been working so hard to get these sponsored visages out there, and I've neglected to create an airdrop video around them. So I know that on our pod last night that I did, some people had a difficult time figuring out exactly how to qualify for the karate giveaway. Well, the airdrop that's going to happen with this sponsored visage. So I was going to create a video, hopefully get that out by tomorrow, but hopefully later on today, about how to set up your karate wallet, how to get it into the visage when you're purchasing it, and how to qualify for this airdrop. Because as Dreamer alluded to, it's going to be incredible. And the way that the karate tokens appreciated now over the last month, it's absolutely awesome. And so I also too want to be able to vote on Dreamer and Grady and all the other fighters that are coming up to be able to win their matches. So super stoked about that. And I just want to make sure that everybody in the community is going to see that airdrop button when they log in after this first visage is done, which is now like less than 24 hours away. So we got to get it while it's there, right? So back to you, Bolan.
Yeah, maybe I'll hop
Thank
in
you.
too,
Thank you.
because I think
Yep.
good shout outs there, not only on the reward, but the main utility of the karate token comes each time they have an event. And their next fight is next Friday. So that means voting opens up, I think, about 5 days before that. And then the snapshot closes 2 days before. So this karate gi promotional visage will end in the next day, and then it'll probably take a day or so for that to be delivered to the wallets entered upon purchase of the gis. And then you'll have a few days to use it and go in, use the app, vote for the fighters for next week. It is not the Influencer Fight Club next week, but you'll be able to see how fun it is. It's kind of quote unquote zero risk. They have emissions for each fight. Those emissions are split up by people that win the fighters that they choose. And if you're wrong, it just goes back. I mean, it never leaves your wallet. It's a snapshot, kind of like when we used to do the jeweler-based snapshots. And so there's no real leaving your wallet. They do a snapshot, and if you win, you get more tokens. You get a chunk of the emission. So it's essentially a way, if you have more karate and you're correct on your predictions and the what's it called, the probability of winning and losing of each fighter, the odds, if the odds are more in your favor, you get more of the emissions. So it's a pretty cool model. This will let everybody get familiar with it and play with it and potentially earn some more if you choose correctly. And then a month from now, on the 23rd of February, it is I think the date is locked in, the area is locked in, but I don't know if the actual venue is locked in. So more to come on that, but all the crypto influencers fighting in the IFC, powered by Karate Combat, is a month from now. So this we have a bit of time to figure out the karate and the wallets, and we're probably going to be doing other co-marketing promotions with Karate Combat to get some more karate as well. So good opportunity to lock in some karate and participate for next week, but also get ready for next month and that fun event that's going to include a lot in the space.
Fantastic. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that's not excited to watch your fight. So looking forward to that very much.
Well, I've been dying for like
All
the last
right.
2 weeks not being able to train, so curb the excitement to an extent. We'll do my best, but yeah, I need to make sure I can not die first.
We'll sabotage Phil ahead of time. Don't worry. Uh, all right, so we're gonna roll into some questions. The first question is on the hunt's fee. How much burns during the hunts for power tokens and gold? So gold is 100% burned, and then the power token, which in this case would be crystal, does follow standard distribution. So for most of the time that Hunts has been live, it would have been a 25% burn. However, with the changes for LP providers, it will now be a 15% burn moving forward. As far as how much has burned, I would actually refer anybody who's curious over to DFK Quester. Absolutely fantastic tool. The leaderboard at the very top has a count of how much gold and how much crystal has been spent in hunts. So right now there's 134,659,500 gold, and that would have been 100% burned. And then 1,346,595 crystal. So if we figure roughly 25% of that, about 335,000 crystal has been burned. But that will, as of a couple days ago, now be 15% burn moving forward. So it does follow standard distribution, and DFK Quester keeps track of the total spent, which is super useful as a reference. So shout out to them as well. Awesome. Let's see. Next question. We are going to go over to Hubert. We're going to do that a lot today. So, do we currently have any plans to add a form of crystal staking other than the liquidity pools?
That's an interesting question. All I can say is that we haven't really been discussing anything additional to what we have right now. But that's not to say that we wouldn't consider something in the future. It just isn't something that's been on our radar up to this point. So, kind of a non-answer there. Sorry, but that's kind of what we're the state of things for now.
Perfect. Switching over to combat. We know that 3v3 will be the primary setup for PvP and PvE, but in the future, are there any plans for other game modes like a 5v5, 2v2, whatever the case may be? 99v9, 99. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, so I think, first and foremost, we want to get the current combat engine set up completely, have that be complete before we do anything where we would diverge from that. Like a 5v5 fight would likely require us to basically set up a whole new set of skills for that game mode instead of the ones that are used for 3v3, or at least we'd have to like heavily tweak a lot of them since everything's kind of been designed with kind of 3 combatants in mind. So while I would definitely not say that we're never going to do anything different, I think it's going to be a while before we did. We could maybe consider doing things where it's still 3v3, but there's like multiple instances of 3v3 happening, something like that. That might be a little bit easier for us to implement than having it be like a complete change where, now you have 5 different things to target, etc. So, yeah, I mean, but in general, I think or things like 1v1, things like that might be a little bit easier, or 2v2. But anything where we're going above 3 is going to require a lot more thought about it. So, but for now, we're definitely just focused on getting the combat engine like feature complete first and foremost.
let Mama Boar wild charge crit all 99 of my heroes. Come on.
Yeah.
She'll just
That
wipe my
would be
whole.
hilarious to watch.
It would be. It would be. Uh, Switching gears a little bit again with the unfortunate Twitter hack not yet behind us. It is now. Hey, but uh, uh, basically generally asking around our security on social media, but also outside of social media for the project as a whole. I'll speak on the social media side a little bit, but it's something that we take very seriously, even on the social media side. Unfortunately, obviously, that went wrong, but we use randomly generated passwords and all that kind of stuff. Uh, Unfortunately, SimSwap just bypasses a lot of things and is very painful. But definitely, as soon as we got back in 2FA that we have, not that the hacker has, was enabled on the account. So we try to take advantage of the security measures that are available on that platform. And unfortunately, each platform kind of has its own vulnerabilities. So we try to handle around those as best as we can. Follow basic security uh, recommendations. We don't use the same passwords on different stuff. As people have stepped away from the team, we've changed passwords, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely something that we take seriously. On the social media side, there's definitely a little bit more beyond our control, unfortunately. But Magnus, do you want to kick off talking about on the project side?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the technical side of things, basically at its core level, we whenever we write new code, we have multiple sets of eyes reviewing any pull requests that come in to make sure there are no vulnerabilities, as well as just the making sure it's doing what we expect. We also do audits on our critical contracts, and we've got a couple great partners we work with on that. Um, and then in terms of like day-to-day operations, we any contract upgrades or new access control requests are done via a multi-sig, to make sure if one person is compromised, people can't start granting permissions or doing any upgrades without having a bunch of people know about that. And then in terms of partnerships or any new technical integrations, often we'll spend weeks of time evaluating, doing due diligence on their entire tech stack, and making sure there's kind of no centralized point of failure there. And then we're also just very careful about bringing in any integrations. And often, if we don't like what we see with what's out there in the market, we'll build it ourselves just to make sure we can. It's going to be well trusted, and yeah. So that's security is extremely important to us, and that's something I spend a lot of my waking hours just obsessing about and making sure everything's good to go there. That's it for me.
Anybody have anything they want to add to that before we move to the next question? All right. Thoughts on having the team do a little voice acting to add voiceovers and descriptions for the visually impaired?
I nominate Sashay.
I was going to nominate Sam. No, I think it's a really interesting suggestion. I would say I don't think it's something that we would probably try to take on in the short term, because it would still be a lift, pulling people from other tasks to do the voice acting. We have a lot of words in our game. I don't know if anybody has counted. I wouldn't recommend it, but there's somewhere around 30,000 words in our game. So so there's a lot of words there. So I do think it's a really interesting idea. I also think it could be pretty fun, but I don't think it would necessarily be on our short term agenda to pull folks away to do that yet. Not yet.
I was just going to add real quick too, Bolon, that some of the AI tools that are coming out, like 11 Labs, are making some really cool innovations when it comes to text to voice. They're actually sounding pretty close to normal now, and if not better than normal in some cases. So that may be something that we look at in the future. But yeah, some of these AI tools are making the text to speech stuff really cool.
Yeah, that's actually a really good call out. That, that could be something that makes for a good option in the future as it keeps developing. Cool. All right. Switching back to combat. Uh, for the next hunt, thoughts on having a feature where even after a victory, you could pay some kind of expense, burn items, crystal, whatever the case may be, to be able to hunt again within that 24-hour period, maybe capping it at like 2 or 3 wins per day instead of 1.
Yeah, I think, that's an interesting idea. I know we do something similar to that with duels. I could see there being value in that, but it would require us spending at least some time to make sure that if we did that, like, we're not impacting inflation too much. So like the cost of a retry may have to be a little bit higher if we did just do something like that. But at the moment, the plan is kind of as it is, with having these timers on it to just have it be more incentivizing people using additional heroes, and having more, hero usage just in play in general, as well as just making sure also we have we don't want these void hunts to turn out, as inflationary as just regular questing is, where every hero can just do it on repeat all the time. So there's definitely a lot of thought and care put into just how we're setting things up. So something like that might be possible. Probably not something we're going to think about doing in the short term, I don't think.
Awesome. Appreciate you, sir. Let's see. Thoughts on having a 3D DFK game world?
I guess I'll take that one too.
Why not?
I think that's more of maybe an SBD question than anything else, but he's not here at the moment. So I think it's a lot of work on our art team to do what we do already. To transition to like a completely different style would be a massive undertaking, and I don't know that, I think every game has its style, and just completely changing it like that is that's a big move, and I don't think it's something that you see happen very often in the gaming world. As nice as it would be, and maybe there's room to have some sort of 3D like add-ons that are not necessarily gameplay, but allow you to experience the DFK world from a 3D experience. I think we actually did do something kind of like that with the social aspect very early on, but it didn't really stick very long. So it's just that's a pretty big effort to do. So I think that would be something that we'd really have to think about heavily before doing something like that.
And I'll just add, there are a lot of talented teams out there. I think one of the cool possibilities of blockchain gaming, kind of being different than traditional gaming, is access to the like core pieces of a game being on the blockchain and then being able to build with them. So we've thrown out there like, man, it'd be cool if somebody makes a mini game with pets. It'd be cool if somebody does another game using DFK heroes, like we've seen some people do, and some are likely in progress. In the same way, if people want to take heroes and create some kind of social experiment or something else where they look differently, like this is kind of, we are likely not going to focus on that for a while because we have so many awesome things to build. We already have a really good plan. For us to be able to do that, we have to stay focused on it. But if other teams come and they say, hey, we want to do this or that or the other, co-marketing, putting people in the castle, trying to find ways to lift up community or third-party builders like we have in the past will continue. So it's probably not the answer that the question asker was looking for, but likely not going to be in our focus for a while. But it doesn't mean that it couldn't be in other teams' focus that has that expertise.
Most definitely. And I hope everybody knows by now that we love community built stuff, so we're all for it. Let's see. So a bit of a timeline dig here. We'll see if they get any alpha out of I think Hubert. But thoughts on having power up delegation go concurrent with expeditions or potentially prior to expeditions.
I mean, we have been talking about getting power up delegation set up. It's something we talked about even in our last tokenomics meeting, I believe. But like as far as when we will get that done, I think we have several different things we're juggling at the moment. And while I'd say it's possible, I don't really want to speculate on when we're going to get that all the way done. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything anyone else wants to add to that. It's definitely something on our radar for sure, but it's also I'm not sure if anyone's going to be able to work on it right away. We got duels things being worked, we have expeditions being worked, and with our Solidity team, it's Magnus and Fox are our two Solidity devs. So one of them would have to stop working on what they're working on to focus on that. So it's hard to say that it would come out before the others did.
On the agenda, but everything's a matter of prioritization. So, good deal. All right. Let's see. Question for Dreamer. So, for anybody who has not seen, I guess a little background, there is a proposal that has been placed by the Klaytn Foundation to their governance council to merge blockchains with, I believe it's pronounced Finchia, but if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. And Finchia has made the same proposal to their governance council for the two of them to merge blockchains. The specific question is, would we need to like redo SD Sarandale? But I think if we want to take a little bit broader approach to that to start with, that would be great.
Yeah, so this is really interesting news, and I feel like we've been emotionally battle tested with news of things that affect us over time. That when we hear things, there could be a reaction of, "Oh no, we have to do work," or "This is bad." But I think we just get right to like, what do we have to do here? And the first step is usually let's gather as much information as we can. So we were not aware of this prior to it being public, which is uh, really something I don't think we could expect anything more, since there's probably NDAs and other things between the two parties involved, and there are a lot of other people on the chain as well. I think both chains. So not surprised we weren't aware, but we're in full info gathering mode. So Sunbear's already reached out. We asked some questions. We're talking to the team live. We've gotten some high level responses, but there's just a lot we don't know yet. Is this going to be a completely new chain? Will it require a new move from all of our contracts live? What does that mean for the tokens? What does that mean for the decks? What does that mean for Jade and Lock Jade and others? We really don't know. So we're in that info gathering stage, but keep in mind how Klaytn governance works is the Klaytn Foundation, they don't really have a lot of power. They're given a budget and they're given things they can do by their validators. Anything that deviates from that requires a vote. We know that very well because we asked them for something specific and that was voted on, not in our favor the first go, but this is also something that needs to be voted on. Now, I'd be very surprised if they haven't already ran this by all of their validators. We don't know. It could be voted down. I think that would be surprising. But once this is voted and final and we have more information, we can report back on what this means for all of us. We're just ready and prepared to do whatever we need to make sure that Sarandale is positioned to have a safe and healthy environment and ecosystem to live on, and is able to grow and has user acquisition potential, even if it isn't immediately in the future. So we'll be looking out for everybody's interest there, and just expect us to be nimble and make sure we make the right decision, since things have continued to change with Sarandale and Klaytn since our initial decision. A lot of events that nobody could have really seen coming. This is one of them. So we're not too scared or bothered, as we just need to gather information and see what we need to do to to get on to the next phase.
Awesome. Yeah, we will keep y'all up to date as we learn. All right, flipping back to combat, and this is the last question that we have submitted at the moment. So I will throw out there, if anybody wants to request to be a speaker and come up, and you're welcome to ask us a question if you want, or say whatever you want within reason, and then give us a bullish. We may be wrapping up a little early this week, but Hubert, thoughts? Will there ever be a hunt? Uh, Really, the overall question is, will there be hunts that have different costs? So something like a 1 crystal, 100 gold, lower reward hunt, or on the other side of that, like 50 crystal or 100 crystal, but the XP and the rewards are obviously higher. So thoughts on hunts cost moving forward?
Yeah, sure. Good question. I definitely think that there will be different costs for different void hunts. As far as like we've already communicated that there will be future hunts that require you to spend void shards. So that's something where there's a different cost as well. On the end of like on the cheaper scale, I think that while that's possible, we're also just want to, we do want to have other combat content that is not just void hunts. So we do also have plans for kind of a more standardized type of combat where you're fighting easier enemies that is just kind of more standard and not like a boss fight like the void hunts are. So we do plan to spend some of our energies on that post this void hunt, which I think would maybe address that side of the question, where just having more content that's easier to do with more heroes, and also kind of setting it up so that there's enemies of different levels and whatnot. So it's not all just level 10 or level 12. So we do have that in the works, and I do think that with hunts that are going to require void shards and other things that we could see hunts that do have higher fees, or just something that's different than what we're using right now anyway. But we're taking it one step at a time. It's other than for sure saying that there will be ones that require void shards. It's difficult for me to say exactly what other types of differences there will be on costs. Though we are, also just reminder as well that we're adding bring your own potion as a part of this new hunt. So that is going to be, in a way, an increase or a change in costs, at least depending on how many potions you use per fight. So that is something that's going to change, and I guess could be considered a part of the whole cost as well. And that'll be something that'll move forward as well for these other fights that I mentioned, as well as for PvP. Having potions be kind of a part of that as well will just make it just a part of the gameplay loop where you need to manage your resources as a part of playing. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, very much looking forward to that. For anybody who hasn't been paying attention, we do have the tracking spreadsheet published for tracking progress on the second Void Hunt as well as BYOP. So make sure you follow along as things progress. But super excited for that, and BYOP is going to be awesome.
And I did
Go ahead.
that link in a comment on the space. I think if people hear cool things or updates and want to help share, I think some people do tweets on it. You can share the space and add your comment, or you can just comment right on it. But one of those comments does have the link to that tracker sheet, which is, even if you don't personally care on the progress, taking a look and just getting a small glimpse into how complicated even just moving a product from like it's like testing version to actually be tested and hit production. It's a big process, so it's cool to see how things are updating live, or even just to take a glance at it and see all the parts that go into these features. It might help with some of the appreciation from some of our awesome creative and production devs.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good insight on there. Thank you, Dreamer, for sharing it. That's my next phase of evolving as a Twitter Space host, is learning how to like pin tweets to the top and do all that fancy stuff that I don't do yet. So I'm working on it. It's a constant journey of improvement. Let's see, we'd lost Doug Hype, but he's back. Hang on, let me bring him back on stage. What's up, Doug? Are you there, Doug?
Yeah, sorry. I swear this week I've had so many technical issues. How's it going, guys? I miss hanging out on spaces, especially with Dreamer and Bolon, Sauron, and Christian. I could just go list everybody in this room right now. Um, I've been kind of like in this phase for the last 2 months where I've been moving and working so much I barely had time to actually game. I didn't even have my like gaming computer like set up, and but it's been amazing. So I want to make sure to catch up on all the things going on here and talk to you guys and off the streams and stuff. But I really love the spot we're in right now with Web3 gaming and also just how DFK is moving into like the phase of having gaming and lots of action happening, which is so dope. And there's lots of cool things happening in the future, like Eat Denver, GDC, and all this stuff happening. Right now, people are making plans for all this stuff, and I'm really looking forward to like more people learning about DFK. And in fact, like this morning, I spent a bunch of time trying to figure out plans for GDC with like Crypto Stash, who I work with now a lot, and he'll post his shows too, along with my show. Like, there's just so much stuff happening. There's so much opportunities for me, it's always about content creation. How can we make things seem fun and exciting and cool? Because they are, but it's hard for people to know that until like they get up close in front to it. So I've been making all kinds of crazy content, like to the point where I don't even sleep, and I'm obsessed with it. Probably on the same path you guys are, just working like crazy. But yeah, I'm very excited for what's going on in gaming in general, and for DFK to get more attention for like all the cool stuff you guys are doing. And Dreamer, like you haven't been on my show in like a month now. It's weird.
I know. Holidays, travel, Miami, Vegas, dying, all of it has caused that to happen. But next week it's going to happen.
It's no worries. It's one of those things where it's like I am having a great time. Are there any members of the DFK community that are in San Francisco? Because I might be going there this weekend, and it might be fun to do like a little video with them or something.
Yeah, GDC is going to be in San Francisco. You mentioned that. Avalanche Gaming is planning a presence there. I believe they had a big presence last year, and we're looking to be present with them and do some cool stuff there. But before that, if you're in the area, I believe Christian Peter, who's on stage, is closer to that area and maybe interested in the meetup. Is that right, KP?
I always love getting together with Doug Hype. I mean, it's just an awesome time. But being in San Diego, I'm about an 8-hour drive, so it's like full on going to Miami.
Yeah,
That's
San
slightly
Diego
next door.
and for San Francisco. What about isn't Sargent up that way? Am I getting things confused? We have somebody in San Francisco.
All right, I need to figure that out. I'm gonna do some investigations, but yeah, I've been like having a great time making crazy videos and stuff, and just like I don't know if you saw my recent one. I like recreate like some Dumb and Dumber and stuff, and all kinds of funny things. And I'm thinking that like with GDC and all the stuff happening in gaming, I personally in the last week have like had those videos. I'll send them out to my like just everyday friends from high school, and all of them are responding. They're like, "What is this? Is this crypto? Is it gaming? Like, what's happening?" And I'm like, "It's like Web3 gaming," and they're like, "That sounds complicated." And I'm like, "You know what? It is, but we're one step closer." Now because they all respond like, "Hey, I'm interested. Like that looks really interesting." You know what I mean? They're their curiosities are peaks right now. You know what I'm saying? So like I think we've taken a step to where it went from people just kind of going like whatever to now like people are very curious, and there's gonna be an avalanche that happens, just like a pun with the blockchain of all of a sudden people wanting to catch up and learn and know what it is. I just had a cool meeting this morning with a bunch of different people that are doing a lot of things in the space to make it so much easier for people to onboard and just use stuff. in crypto. I think it was Virtual Labs, yeah. And there's so many cool new techs coming out that are allowing people to own things in their wallet, but not really have to do a whole lot. You know what I mean? And like be able to just like run around, play games, do things, and not even have to think about it, not have to push buttons, but keep it safe. And I'm very excited for this because that's what I thought. I thought there'd be like a new technology level where we'd get, and I know it's like you guys are working on that so much. There's so much with Web3 gaming and the things to it, but we're like right on the precipice. It's like we're getting to that peak now where like it's going to be really easy to just get people on board.
No, it definitely is. It just keeps improving, and it's really exciting to see it keep improving. And that's where partnerships are so important to keep bringing in new tech and making things better and better. So very much looking forward to it. Appreciate you joining, Doug, and always look forward to your shows as well. You want to wrap us up and give us a bullish?
Well, that's the thing too is anytime you guys come on my show, I'm always going to do shout outs and do some giveaways and stuff. It's basically my secret plan. Like even if you're not a partner with me but you're my really good buddy, I'm going to like sneak you in the back door and just be like, "Hey, by the way everybody, let's talk about DFK for a minute." And you know what I'm saying? So like that's the thing, it's about building relationships. It's about being out here with your bros and the real ones, and I love it. And that is what makes me bullish.
Bullet.
Let's go.
Bullish.
Thanks,
Bullish.
Doug. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, love you guys.
See you guys.
We will see y'all next week on the DeFi Kingdoms Twitter, baby. We're back.